but I want to take a quick moment and speak with Dr. Linda Singh, the Executive Director from the Women Entrepreneurial Leadership. She's a consultant at TEDCO. Dr. Singh, how are you?
I am doing well, Dr. Kaye. How are you?
I'm doing well. We're just having a very interesting discussion here talking about generations, but I thought it was a good place to kind of step in for the work you're doing because the Institute for Women Entrepreneurial Excellence is a program that spun out of TEDCO, which is the Maryland Technology Development Corporation, to support women entrepreneurs. Can you talk a little bit about what this program does?
Absolutely. Our focus is to really help to not only prop up, but to enhance all of the tools that women entrepreneurs have in their toolkits. So TEDCO has a whole host of programs that's focused on entrepreneurs. But what we've done is that we had seen that there was a need to give women entrepreneurs more, I want to say more information and more things for them to be thinking about in terms of their business, like strategies and, how do they form boards? How do they work with boards? How do they think about expanding their business into other areas or even looking at the focus of their business and are there ways that they can bring in more opportunities into their companies and how do they partner with other companies to do that? So we try to really take some of the programs from the Institute and do really what I would consider to be some of these wraparound services to support women entrepreneurs. And our key thing is making sure that, and so while we don't solve every single problem that an entrepreneur would have coming through this program, we at least help them to see where can they go to get answers? How can they tie into the network? It also provides them the ability to build a cohort of women for women. And I know that may sound crazy in today's age, but when we think about how business has happened in the past, and even still today, men form very tight-knit groups.
Right.
And it's a very normal process. And I'm not saying that they exclude women, but they do form very tight-knit groups very differently. And so what we're trying to do is to get women to leverage that same kind of cohesion and to do that with themselves, but then start bringing in, making sure that they're connecting to the guys in their network to leverage everything that's available to them.
Now, I know 52% of the businesses in the state are women-led. So we already have a high rate of women businesses. So what are one or two of the particular goals around doing this? Since it seems like we've had an uptick, at least in women launching businesses in this state.
Right. So what we see is while women are at a very high rate in launching businesses, well, you have to dive into those numbers and then to say what revenue are they driving through their businesses? And that's where we start seeing the trail off. The average woman entrepreneur will bring less than $100,000 through their business. And that is unacceptable, right? It's unacceptable on many, many levels, not just for us here in the state of Maryland, because it does impact our overall economy, right? Like we want them doing more business, spending more money in Maryland, hiring more people in Maryland, right? So it's like we have to fuel this ecosystem. And so when I think about where we are, while we have 52% are women-led, we would like to see more and more what we would call unicorns, right? $billion-dollar businesses created out of that. And so how do we really help them to start moving to higher levels of success? And it needs to be based on their goals, but we really want to see them excel.
Now, as an entrepreneur yourself, now you've been through this process that many of the women are facing now. What's something that you wish you knew when you started your business?
I really wish that I would have put a lot more capital away for the start of the business, right? Because it is so hard when you initially start the business to get any kind of funding or capital. And so a lot of times we're doing that really off of what we consider to be, the shoestring kind of part of the business where we're just running on a thread to really keep things going. And so I know from my perspective, I wish I would have put a whole lot more away for those first couple of years. And now there's no way that I could have predicted that that COVID was going to happen when we actually started, when I really started working my business, but that absolutely, played into it. So therefore it impacted our ability to get, contracts and move forward.
And then finally, what are the next steps that interested parties should take to be a part of this groundbreaking opportunity? Because this right here, when we start talking about this Institute for Women Entrepreneurial Excellence, is a moment. So if you have that idea, if you're looking at launching your own, if you're thinking about what you can do to begin to build your own generational wealth, and you are someone who gender identifies as a woman, like this is a moment for you. So what should they do to be a part of this?
Right. So that's a great question. And there's a couple of different, things I would highly recommend. First is, go out and take a look at the TEDCO website. So the TEDCO website is going to give them a lot of information. And so the TEDCO website is www.tedcomd.com. So that's www.tedcomd.com. Or they can actually go out and look at our website, which is www.oiwee.org. Again, that's www.oiwee.org. And if they, go out and take a look at those resources that are out there, it's going to, really help. It's going to help them, really think about how do they go about, working their business. What are the resources available in Maryland? But then if they can't find, they're saying, okay, well, I'm just really at the start. Go out and look at the Maryland Business Express, which actually talks to you about, for the state of Maryland, how you start a business in the state of Maryland. It walks you through step by step. The last place I would also put out there for them to go is the Small Business Administration website. It has a lot of information, and I know that that's a lot of places for them to go. But if they start with the TEDCO site, they go over to the OIWEE site, and then if they hit on Maryland or the Small Business Administration, they're going to have more information than they can probably soak in at least a couple of weeks' time.
Thank you so much. And so just I know I said that was my last question, but someone just texted and said, in terms of the steps, once they go through and put this application in, how quick is the turnaround for support?
Well, so it really depends on what they're applying for, because there's different programs that TEDCO has, and they need to ensure that they're meeting those deadlines that they publish out there. But for the Institute, for a woman entrepreneur to actually attend one of our cohorts, they just need to go out and submit the application online. And if they submit the application online, right now we have a very small fee that goes along with it because it covers some of the administrative costs, which is like $50. We're probably going to run some specials on that between now and the end of August for a couple of our other cohorts. But if they go out and just submit that application for one of the upcoming cohorts, we will let them know immediately. Once we get the application, we go through it and do the review if they're going to be brought into the cohort.
All right. Thank you so much. Dr. Linda Singh, Executive Director, Women Entrepreneurial Leadership at TEDCO. Go to www.tedcomd.com to get more information about the Institute for Women Entrepreneurial Excellence. It's a program that spun out of TEDCO, the Maryland Technology Development Corporation, to support women entrepreneurs throughout the state. This is your moment, folks. We need you to take that next step and just believe in yourself, get the information in, and then see what happens after that. Thank you so much, Dr. Singh.
Thank you so much.